This is my tutorial for how to make a candy flask cuff. I'll insert a picture right here on what it looks like. I've been getting a lot of like people commenting on my radiate and stuff asking like how I made it, so I figured I would show everybody. So let's get started. Here are the supplies that you will be needing. You're going to be needing the actual flask bracelet. I get these on Oriental Exchange for like $20. They come in like a pack of 12, which is pretty nice. You're going to need some scissors, lots and lots of string. When I say lots and lots, I mean lots because this takes a lot of string. So keep that in mind. You're going to be needing a yarn needle. I got these on Amazon. It was like a pack of 100 for like $5. So I'm sure you can find them at like Michael's too, but just make sure that they're the right size to fit into the actual pony beads. Okay, I just put some of my colors over to the side. Sorry, it's a little chaotic over here right now. And the stitch that I'm going to be using today is a peyote stitch. I think that's how you say it. Correct me if I'm wrong. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the cuff and I'm going to align some string around the cuff, like to see how much string I'm going to be needing. So what you're going to do is take your string and basically fold it in half. So you see how I have one really long piece that I haven't cut yet, and it's like a loop at the end. So basically what you want to do is just mark the string to the size of the cuff until like right about here on each side. So you want each side to end right here. So, and I always like to cut a little bit more because you never know, and it's also good to just have extra string on there. So now that we have our string, we can move the cuff to the side. You're going to have two ends, and like I said before, it's a loop at the bottom. Have your two ends, and you're going to add one bead on one string and one bead on the other, and you're going to push all the way down. So then on this loop, you're going to have these two beads together. And then you're going to want to take another bead and you're going to put it in the middle. So you're going to put the two sides of the string, or the two strings in the middle of that bead and push it down. So you basically just created a triangle. um, yeah. And this is gonna be like this all the way up. So we're gonna do it again. But like I said, like there's different patterns. Like you can do certain colors and like make it cool. I just kind of randomize it based on like what someone bought for me. So, um, we're gonna do one here. One here. And also keep in mind when you're doing this, you want to like keep pulling your string pretty tight. Um, just because it kind of gets wonky if you don't. So, yes. Now we have beads looking like this. Super cute. And we're just going to keep going. I'm going to probably like speed this video up. Um, and then I'll do it one more time for you guys just so you can kind of get the gist, but it's basically just 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, and you just go all the way up the string. When you're ending the string, which I'll show at the when I'm done with this, you're gonna want to end with 2 beads, which I'll show that. Let me just quickly do this. Okay, I stopped real quick, but this is what it's kind of looking like as you go. Um, just so you can kind of get the gist of it. This one I'm doing black and pastel colors is what she asked for, so that's kind of the vibes that we're going for. Okay, stopping one more time again, but this is where we're at. And then, like I said, it's going to be a little bit wonky, but you'll see how it comes together. But what I like to do is I just take it and I like to measure it out before I stop. So I'll just like put it around. So I'm like halfway done. So I'll just keep on adding those beads. Okay, I'm getting to the end right now. And this is a perfect example why I said more string is better because I underestimated my measurement this time and I am very short on string, but we'll make it work. It's okay. Um, but we are almost done with her. I am gonna keep adding. I'll actually show you guys the end part though. So like I said before, we're gonna do the one middle bead. We are gonna do the one middle bead and then we're gonna do the two on each side and then one in the middle. Hopefully you guys will be ending off with a lot more string than me. um, and then we're gonna do the two. And then we're gonna add one more. So one more in the middle and then two on the sides. So now that we have this long chain type looking thing, you're gonna just tie this in a knot. So this is gonna be very hard because it's very short. Okay. And also, like when before you start tying it, make sure like you just pulled the string all the way tight, like I was doing before, because you don't want any like looseness going on, because it's gonna look like a lumpy cuff. But anyway, I just finished tying this off, and it is going to fit the cuff perfectly. So the next step, I will go get that real quick. Ignore how bad my glue gun looks. I am so embarrassed of it, but I've had this thing for years. The glue is actually not gonna be holding the candy to the cuff forever. It's just temporarily so you can build on it so it can have that sturdiness. Because you'll see later on like how I make it to stay. It's not just the glue like doing all the work. Like I said before, we're wrapping it around the cuff. So we're going to want to have our ends kind of close to this little screw. So I'm just going to make a mark of the glue right about here. And that's like pretty much all you need. And then I'm going to place it right there and kind of hold it down. But like I said, it doesn't really matter if it's sturdy or not with the glue, because as you are working around the cuff, like while you're weaving through the beads, it does tend to slip and the glue comes off and then the beads will, or this will come off, which is totally fine because if it does that, you could just glue it back on. Not until the end is when we actually string everything together and like make sure it's sturdy. So I kind of work my way down and I'm just going to put more glue as we go. And you don't want to pull as much when you are doing this because when if you're doing that, you're going to see all the string and it's going to be like kind of messy if you're weaving all the beads through. So I'm going to add more glue here. Push that down. And as you can see, like I'm not doing like glue dots literally everywhere. Like I'm just kind of going in sections just so it's like staying on the actual cuff. And place her down right there. Perfect. So now we have all of the beads glued down all around. Right. So now is when we bring out this bad boy. Put it through the needle. I'm pretty sure most of you guys hopefully know how to do this. It's okay if you don't. What we're gonna do is we're gonna start from here. Ignore those glue streaks. I'm sorry. So the way I like to start is I basically stick my needle through this string. Usually there's like a loop at the ends. So I'm just going to stick my needle right through the string. Also keep in mind I haven't cut my string yet. Pull it through. And you want your string to be really long. Obviously don't do it too long to the point where you like can't even make candy. but what you could work with in your space, which is exactly what I'm going to be doing right now. So I just cut my string, and that long piece that I got over here, I'm just going to tie a knot. Sorry, it's moving all over the place. These flasks are very, very light. Okay, and like we did before, I just double knotted that, and then I'm going to cut that little piece off. Okie dokie. So we're tied onto that string, and we're going to use this needle and go through that first bead and pull that string. We're not adding on any beads yet. So now that we're sticking out of this bead, I'm going to be adding colors of different beads. So I'm going to be adding a black bead. And what I'm going to be doing is going into this next bead. See all the ones that are like poking out kind of high? We're going through all of those. So I'm just going through this one. Pull the string. And now we have a little top for that. How cute is that? And the next one, I'm going to be adding a blue. And going into that orange bead. Pink. And we're going to go into this black bead. And as you're doing it, you want to pull your string. Like, I'm not saying just pull the needle. Like, grab the string that's close to that bead and just tighten that up. Because again, it's going to be all wonky if you don't do that. So I just suggest you do that. And I'm going to go into this purple one. I'm going to add a yellow. Go into this yellow. And like there's no specific pattern or anything like that I'm doing right now. Like I said before, I'm just kind of placing beads wherever I need to, and it always kind of ends up really cool looking. But of course you can probably look up tutorials on like different patterns you can do for this certain type of stitch. Okay, and as you can see, it's getting thicker, right? It's getting thick. So I'm basically just going to do this all the way around until we get to like right here. Until this blue bead. I will see you in a second. Oh my god, hey, we're back. That took like 2 seconds for you, or not even. Um, we're at this blue bead. I did this whole row that we got going on. So let's finish this off. Also, like I said before, it's not sturdy really because literally the only thing that's holding it is glue. You could totally make this without the glue and just straight up measure it out and do it the stitch and then glue it and then string it. This is just my preference of doing it. I've made over like 50 of them. This is just the easiest way I could do it. All right, so we are at the end. So what we're gonna do is flip the cuff around, and we're coming out of that last bead at the bottom now. So I'm going to just stick my needle with no bead in it, with no bead on the string, string it through, and we are going to do the same thing we did on the last one. So you're just going to go through all of the ones that are sticking out. Pull, pull, pull. And this is a lot easier when you have a needle. If you don't have a needle, I wish you the best of luck, honestly, because I don't even know how you would be able to do this. Honestly, it's just so tedious, and you need to make sure you're going through the right bead. And with fingers, that's got to be hard. So, I'm going to do this row. Hopefully, you guys are kind of getting the gist. I really hope that I'm explaining this well. Um, but I will meet you back at the other corner. Okay, we are back at the end again. So, let me just finish off this row so you guys can see that. All right, so we are at the last bead like we did on the other side. I'm just going to stick through there, tighten that up, and look how thick she's getting. Yes. Okay, so we're going to do the same thing. We're going to flip it over. Take the string and we're going to go through this bead. Okay, so we are at this bead. So we're going to go through this one and then this one. You don't want to put a bead right there, and I'll kind of explain why later. But if you put a bead right there, it's going to get really close to here, and it's really hard to open this. So this is the way. So yeah, I'm just going to keep making these rows. Okay, we are at the last bit again. So let me take a bead, and we're going to go through this one. And we're actually going to go through those two again. We're always going to end on these last two and start at these last two. Either side. And tighten it up. And we're going to flip it over again. And we're going to go through here and here. And do the same thing again. But look how pretty it's coming together already. Okay, we're getting to the end again. So, and I'm also running low on string, and I will show you guys how to add more string on as well. So I'm going to do the same thing as I did last time. I'm going to go through the end one, go through the other end. And pull tight. So as I'm covering the cuff, you're probably wondering, when are you going to stop? Because you actually don't want to keep doing it all the way until like the beads are getting like over here, because then you're not going to be able to stick your wrist in it. So as you can see, like when I put it on, you're kind of wanting to just stop maybe right here. So we'll probably do 2 more rows, and that will be good enough. But let me show you guys how to add more string on. So this is the way I like to do it. Don't judge me, because I know there's a lot of different ways, but I will just cut off the needle part. And I'm going to take my string and I pull this kind of long, or I pull it really tight. And what I'm going to do is take the new string and the string that I've already used. I'm going to cross them. So I'm going to do this, loop it around like you're tying a shoelace, like that. And then you're going to double knot it. So do the same thing again, loop it around, and boom, you have new string. So I'm going to cut those two ends off. And like I was saying before, super fast, thin super glue. I'm just going to use like an old plastic eyelash thing to do this because I don't want to get glue everywhere. But I'm going to just pull that knot out a little bit and glue it. Go through this bead. And as you can see, it's getting close. So we are almost there and it's very exciting. It's such an amazing thing, like when you're getting close to being finished with like a cuff or even like a perler. Like I'm just ready to see the final product. This is also very exciting because this is the first cuff, or this is the first Flask cuff that I made with these colors. So this was very exciting when she told me that she wanted this color scheme. I was like, yes, absolutely. She likes the pastel goth colors, which I am totally with her on that one. Pull this through. Okay, we're back at the end, so we're gonna put our last bead through. And as you can see, like, there's just like a good 4 that are just no candy built on or no beads on it. So, we're gonna go through, like I said before, just flip it around. We're gonna go through these two without adding any beads. And now that we're flipped over, we're gonna go through these. Oh, we're gonna go through these 3. Perfect. Okay. So we're gonna add another row. I kind of just eyeball it to see like when I have enough beads. Like you'll know like if you're doing this at home right now and following this tutorial, like just keep sticking your hand through it and see like how comfortable it is to actually put it on. But I definitely think like I definitely stop like right about here, like in the middle. So I lied before and I probably will be doing another row on each side just one more time and then we will be finished with the actual base of the cuff. Okay, I'm at the end again, so I'm going to add on my last bead. And we're going to do the same thing as we did last time. We're going to go through all of these beads. So, we're going to go through these 2 and flip her around. Go through these. Okay, and if you were thinking like, oh, she's probably just saying that about the hot glue, this is why. It is not sturdy. So if you were just gonna leave it like that with the glue and not do the string in the middle like I'm about to show, don't do that. It is not sturdy, and these cuffs or these flasks are plastic, so it's just not durable. And if you're gonna be drinking um liquids out of it, I do not suggest using just glue. So yeah, same thing. Just keep working on those rows. And for this last row, I will say don't get scared because they are going to pop up a little bit more than the other ones, but that's just because you're on the top. Don't worry about that though. We are going to fix that once we're done with the rows. So I will catch you in a second. Also, not completely done with this row yet, but I wanted to jump in and say something real quick. Um, it's actually a good thing, like when they start sticking up like that, you know that you're close to the end. Only because what we're going to be doing is like sticking the string through them and wrapping them around to the other end to fastly secure them down. Some of them will still be sticking up, but you could just use a little bit of E6000 glue to secure it even more. But that's totally optional. But we'll get to that point. The video cut out and it didn't show me doing that last one, but like I said before, we were coming out of this bead and we just went through these three, these four, and then added these new beads right here. It's just the same thing that we've been doing. So yeah, sorry about that. But we're gonna do this last row right now. Okay, we are at the end again. Yay! We are at the end again. So we're going to be adding our last bead. Going through this last upper one. And pull tight. Now I'm going to be going through these three. All right. And what I'm going to be doing is this is how I like to tie off my cuffs. What you're going to do is stick your needle into one of these strings right here because you have about like 5 now after all those rows, which creates this loop. Open up the loop, pull the needle through, boom, you have a knot. And I like to do that 3 times, just so it's like really sturdy. Pull it really tight. And I like to pull my string as I'm cutting, so just pull and cut. And boom, we have this beautiful base going on right here now. And now is the crazy part and most chaotic part. So I'm going to be using black string for this part. I did use white for the beads. I just wasn't really thinking when I was doing that, but you can't even see it, so it's okay. But anyway, we're going to use this black string right here. What I'm going to do is whatever bead is sticking out, so it would be this one, whichever side you're on, it doesn't matter. I'm basically just going to put my string through that string that we've already woven through right here, this white one, right through here, right next to that bead, closest to the end. And again, we're going to need a lot of string for this, so cut as much ever you feel comfortable with working with. And I'm going to tie it onto that string. You can glue this part too, totally optional. I always glue my knots, so again, up to you. So now that we have this string on this string, we're going to be going through this bead. Okay? Now what we're going to do is put this string right through the middle. Now we're on the opposite side. So what we're going to do is I'm going to put this needle through this upper bead on this side. And now, you see how they're tugging on each other and it's bringing it closer together. So I'm going to do this all the way around. So I'm going to pull it back up, do the other side again, and do the same thing to this next bead. They're kind of crisscrossing. Hold on. There you go. All right. And we're going to do the same thing on the other side again. Pull it through. Go to the next upper bead. And this is what I was saying before, why you shouldn't just glue it down. This is the part where I was saying this makes it actually like connected to the cuff, or to the flask. Uh, so yeah, definitely recommend doing this part. It's very crucial. And every time that I've made one of these, like doing it this way, they've definitely they've held up. Like they've done the drop test. They've made it through the rave. They made it, they're pretty sturdy. So, if you're gluing your knots, if you're doing this string method, then I think it's honestly really good. And it's okay if they are overlapping. I'm just picky and I don't like it overlapping. This bead. Pull it through. Go through the next one. And hopefully you guys are understanding now kind of what I'm doing here. But all it's doing is just making it so it's stuck to the cuff, not just by glue. And it's pulling these beads forward a little bit more so you have more coverage. But again, like you don't really want to put the beads close to here because it kind of it's just too fragile to be doing that. Like it will come up. I've tried doing them really, really close and it was breaking. So don't recommend that. These are definitely meant to be worn with other bracelets. So if you're seeing the gray part or whatever color flask you're using, just put some singles on top of this cuff and you're wearing it and you won't see that part. Oh my gosh, the video cut out again, but I basically just went all the way around like I was showing you guys, and then I tied it off at the end in the middle of these two beads, kind of like how we started. Um, just go in between any string and then just loop it, tie it, loop it, tie it for that double knot, and you are good. But now we have all the string around, so it is pretty sturdy. And for the last part, we're going to be making this middle part, which goes by super fast. And then we're going to be adding the cap. Okay, so this last part, we're going to need a little bit of string. We don't need a ton because we're just working on this section right now. So what we're going to do is take our string and you're going to go right in between like this area because you're going to want to fill up this portion. So what I'm going to do, you can use a needle for this so you could stick it in better, like so. Now we're going to do that stitch again. I like to tie my string like right here, so let's just cut. So now we have these two pieces again like before. And I'm going to just tie a knot onto this string. Like that. All right, so we're going to do the same thing when we were building the base. We're going to always start with 2 beads. Like so. Sorry, my camera is like not focusing right now. There we go. 1, 2, 1, 2, and then push it down so it's pretty tight. And you can kind of see right here, we're just building across. So we're going to want to end up Sorry, I'm trying to show you guys, but it's like kind of hard because it's wonky. All right, we're gonna want to end right here to this point. So let's do it again. 1. I feel like I'm in kindergarten counting. And we are about where we need to be. So at this point, plug in your hot glue gun again because we're going to need it. So now that we're ending with the 2, I'm going to just tie it off like we did before. And now you're going to take this string and go in between these 2 beads. So we're going to stick it through. And tie it off. All right, and then we can cut off this excess now, and you can also super glue that knot. But now that we have this, you're gonna want to take your hot glue gun once it's warmed up. And I like to bring the beads a little bit down towards the cap, not too close to where you can't open it. Just play around with it and see what's good for you. But I'm just gonna add a few dots and bring the beads down very carefully. Don't touch the glue. Press. Okay. And also, don't worry about this glue. We can get that off. I'm just going to do this on the other side. I'm not going to even show you guys that because you already kind of get the gist of it. So I'm going to do it again on this side and I will catch back with you. Okay, so I got both sides done and they are pretty good. So now what I'm going to do is this one I didn't bring as close as to the cap as I wanted to. So basically I'm just going to weave in some random beads. I mean, it's kind of like the same thing that we've been doing. It's just taking your string, going through the top bead, whatever, whatever. Pretty self-explanatory. So I will be showing a little bit of that, not all of it though, because again, I just made it a little bit shorter than I was wanting it to. So, and go here, but this is going to be different for everybody because everybody's lengths could be different or whatever. Their beads could be larger. You know what I mean. So, totally just depends. But I'm just kind of showing you guys how I like to fill in the gaps. Like that. Okay, so I'm gonna keep filling in these gaps and then I'll come back. So now, if you have any extra spots that you want to fill in, what you could do is take some E6000 glue and just glue some of the beads on there because E6000 is pretty strong, so it can actually like hold up on this. So that's what I'm going to do. You just put a little bit of glue and then place it on it. So pretty self-explanatory. I'm not even going to show that part, but I'll come back when I'm done. Okay, now that we are done filling in, I do want to say also, sometimes you will get like little gaps throughout the actual cuff. In this one, I don't. Or actually, this could be an example right here. This little gap, if you want to just take some glue, I'm just actually going to use some hot glue. Just glue a little bit and pop a bead right inside. Pop a bead right inside and then hold it. And voila, that bead is now in there and there's no holes. That only is happening because the string is pulling and it kind of separates it if you're pulling really tight. Totally common, but that's what I suggest on fixing that part. All right, so now we're gonna just take some string. We don't need a lot. And for those who know already how to make candy stars, it's basically just a star, um, with 3 beads around each point. So if you already know how to do that, then you can skip a little bit and see what's going on. But in case not, I will show you. So what we're gonna do is our middle color of the star is going to be 10 beads. You can do any colors, any pattern or whatever, but just add 10 beads. Okay, now that we have 10 beads on our string, just going to tie it off like this. And now we have a little circle. How cute is that? So now that we just tied that off, I'm going to go into the closest bead next to where our string is tied. So that would be this one. And now that you're coming out of a bead, you're going to add 3 more beads. So I'm going to do 1, 2, 3. Okay. And what you're going to do is skip the bead next to it and go into the one after the middle one. Like this. And pull it tight. And now you have a baby triangle. How cute. And we're going to do it again. 1, 2, 3. Skip that middle one again. And now you have another triangle. And you're just going to keep doing this all the way around until you get back to that first point. Oh. You could totally use the candy needle for this as well. I'm lazy and I really don't want to tie it off. And I'm just going to go into this one, skip the middle bead again. All right, now you have a candy star. So now what you're going to do, you're coming out of this black bead or whatever color you have, and you're going to go up these 2 that are next to it. So you're going to go through the triangle now. All right. And now you're going to add 3 beads. 1, 2, 3. And go into the next point. You're coming out of the point, you're going into the point. You're coming out of the point, you're going into the point. And as you're doing this, again, make sure you're just pulling the string pretty tight, because it's basically, we're adding these 3 beads just to kind of make the star fold in, like so. Like as you can see, it's kind of curving like a cap. And we're going to go back into this point right here. So that was the purple for me. And tighten it up. And now you have a little cap. Okay, so now that we made our star cap, as you can see, it fits right over the center. So I have my string currently tied. I am going to be connecting it over here, in between all of these little strings. And like I said before, like whatever you feel comfortable with, like if you think that it fits somewhere for the cap to go on, then by all means do it. My only suggestion with this is when you are tying it, just make sure that it is covering the entire area. So if you need to leave some loose string and tie it kind of loosely, do that. Every cuff is different. Like everyone that I've made, it just depends on what kind of where I need to tie it basically. Okay. So this end is tied. So I'm going to cut this. I'm going to bring it around and I'm going to stick my needle in between the star right here. Like so. And what I'm going to do is stick my string through one of these loops. And now I'm going to have this end and this end, I'm going to just tie it. Make sure you're not doing it too tight because if you do that, you're not going to be able to open it and move it around freely to fill it with liquid. Um, so keep that in mind. You want it kind of loose actually, but not too loose to the point where it's like literally dangling. So this, I would say, is like the perfect amount of stretch. Like this part is longer because you want it to be out of the way, but you see how it like snaps back when you move it around. It's not jiggling everywhere. With that being said, we have finished our flask cuff. So when you want to fill it, just put it up to the side, open it up, dump it out, fill it up. And this is a great demonstration on if it was too tight and the string was like this. Imagine opening that and trying to drink out of it. That would just not be fun. This is the final product, and I hope that this helps everybody, and I hope that you were able to make it. I'm so curious to see your guys' creations, and hopefully this tutorial helped everyone a little bit. So thank you so much for watching, and drink responsibly. Don't let this 3-ounce cuff get you blasted. Peace out.